cerebrum makes up a large portion of the brain. It is what people refer to when they describe someone as left or right brain, and it is home to many smaller structures that regulate numerous core functions in the entirety of the body. And the functions are the interpretation of sensory information, emotions, learning, problem solving, motor control, and among others. And the brain has two hemispheres, and it makes up the cerebrum as a whole, and they are the left and right hemisphere, and they control the symmetrical divisions of the body opposite to them. So for example, the left hemisphere controls the muscles on the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. And now let's talk about the functions that the left and right hemisphere hold. Like, what do they control? Okay, so the first is the left hemisphere. So the left hemisphere controls the analytical skills, and the problem solving, the logic, reasoning, and language, the calculations or the mathematics, and the muscles on the right side. While the right hemisphere controls the creativity, the imagination, the spatial temporal awareness, reflective or conscious thought, musical interpretation, visual imagery, and the muscles on the left side. So now we'll be talking about the lobes of the brain. So there are four, and they are the frontal lobe, which is located here in the front of the head, and next is the parietal lobe, which is here up, and next is the occipital lobe, which is behind the back of the head, and lastly is the temporal lobe, which is located here, like somewhere around here. So first we'll be discussing about the frontal lobe. So the frontal lobe has it controls the personality, the behavior of the person, the emotions, and the judgment, planning, problem solving. Next is the speech. So it is the speaking and the writing, which is another term for that is the Broca's area. So it is the part of the head, part of the brain that controls the speaking and the writing. It's called the Broca's area. And then next is the body movement and the intelligence, concentration, and the self-awareness. So now the next one is the parietal lobe. So this in this lobe, it controls it controls the interpretation of the language, the words. It helps the person understand what the other person is saying. Next is the sense of touch, pain, and temperature. So it is also called the sensory strip. Next is the parietal lobe. The parietal lobe interprets the signals from vision, hearing, motor, and sensory and memory. And then lastly is the spatial and visual perception. So next one is the occipital lobe. So this one is simple. It's located in the back of the head, back of the brain, and it interprets vision, which is the color, light, and movement. And then lastly is the temporal lobe. It helps the person understand language, and helps the person with memory, the hearing, and the sequencing and organization of things. So now we'll be talking about is the role of physical therapist in this part of the body, which is the brain. How do we treat it? How do physical therapists treat it? So now physical therapists are trained in movement and movement dysfunction. and they help patients regain their strength in exercises, in treatments, in interventions. They help relieve pain through the use of therapeutic exercises, modalities, physical agents such as heat, cold, and electrostimulation. Also, PT provides expertise in human mobility, analyzing gait patterns, prescribing treatment, and recommending devices to enable the patient to regain or to have independent movement, such as braces and crutches, for example. And by increasing coordination, strength, and endurance, a PT can help a patient recover from physical injuries and impairments. So the next is physical therapy treatment often includes exercise, especially for patients who have been immobilized or who lack the flexibility, the strength or endurance. So the PTs encourage patients to use their muscles to increase their flexibility and range of motion. And more advanced exercises focus on improving strength, balance, coordination, and endurance. And the goal of it is to improve how an individual functions at work and also at home. And the next one is modalities or physical agents such as electrical stimulation, hot packs, or cold compresses and ultrasound are used to relieve pain and reduce swelling, and they are used by the PTs. So and they will also use manual techniques to relieve pain and improve circulation and flexibility. So, and they also show patients how to do exercises and how to do it at home to make the recovery faster.
A sensory system for the processing of sensory information is part of the nervous system. There are sensory receptors, neural pathways, and parts of the brain involved in sensory perception in a sensory system. Commonly known sensory systems are vision, hearing, somatic for touch, taste and odor for smell. Senses, in short, are transducers from the physical world to the sphere of the mind. These are the 5 basic sensory systems. Visual system. The visual system is responsible for seeing. The primary visual area of the brain is the occipital lobe. Projections are received from the retina through the thalamus, where different types of the information are encoded. Types of visual information include color, shape, orientation, and motion. Auditory system. The auditory system is responsible for hearing. The primary auditory cortex is located in the superior temporal gyrus of the brain. Specific sound frequencies can be mapped precisely onto the primary auditory cortex. Particular areas in the auditory cortex process changes in sound frequency or amplitude, while other areas process combinations of sound frequencies. Olfactory system. The olfactory system is responsible for processing smell. The olfactory bulb transmits smell information from the nose to the brain and is thus necessary for a proper sense of smell. Unlike the other sensory systems, the olfactory bulb has only one source of sensory input, sense neurons of the olfactory epithelium, and one output. Gustatory system. The gustatory system is responsible for the sense of taste. It allows us to discriminate between safe and harmful foods. Usually, individuals prefer sweet and salty taste to sour or bitter taste. Detecting salt is critical to keeping a regulated and stable internal body. This taste is received positively because it facilitates reuptake of water into the blood. Tactile system. The tactile system is responsible for processing touch information from the body. The body sends tactile information to the somatosensory cortex through neural pathways to the spinal cord. The brainstem and the thalamus The primary somatosensory cortex is the primary receptive area for touch, sensations, and is located in the lateral postcentral gyrus, a prominent structure in the parietal lobe of the human brain. In fact, the truth is, there are actually many sensory systems that our bodies use every single day. There are 5 that most us know and recognize, which are sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. However, did you know that some scientists state that there are up to 21 senses in the human body? There are 2 senses that are so incredibly important and vital to the growth and development of young children. These are proprioceptive and vestibular system. These are the roles and responsibilities of physical therapy. Physical therapies in this region encompasses specialized comprehensive evaluation and treatment of individuals with movement problems due to disease or injury of the nervous system. Physical therapy is extremely important for those patients who have had or who currently have neurological diseases or injuries. The brain and spinal cord and the central nervous system control movement and sensation. Injuries to these areas, the brain or spinal cord, can cause death of the cells that control certain movements and sensations, and therefore people lose function without neurological physical therapy following a neurological injury. Patients may lose many functions and not be able to perform certain activities. Decreased intensity of activity leads to many other health problems, such as diabetes, heart problems, lung problems, decreased independence, and an overall poor quality of life.
So now, we'll be talking about the importance of studying na neuroanatomy and how can it help the physical therapist. And the nervous system not only works to produce thoughts, emotions, and behavior, but it also controls important body functions like breathing, for example. And studying the nervous system, the neuroscience of the body, advances understanding of the students' basic biology and body function. And by knowing how these things typically work, and can help shed some light on what may happen when there are problems. And it can help PTs who to find ways to prevent or treat problems that can affect the brain, nervous system, and the body itself. And in addition to that, examining the normal development and activity of the nervous system, neuroscience studies diseases, disorders, and injuries that affect parts of the nervous system, how it develops, how well it functions, and according to research, there are more than 1,000 disorders of the brain and the nervous system, and this includes the intellectual in development disabilities, behavioral disorders, mental health problems, degenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and Niemann-Pick disease, musculoskeletal, which is the where the PTs are mastered in that field. The musculoskeletal disorders such as muscular dystrophy and stroke, and structural defects such as neural tube defects and etc. Also injuries such as traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, as well as how the body processes pain, and lastly the epilepsy, seizure, and the stroke. And by understanding all of this, with understanding how to prevent and treat disorders and diseases is crucial for maintaining the overall health and well-being of the patients. So that's pretty much it for this video regarding the neuroanatomy, the cerebrum, and the sensory system. So I hope and we hope that you've learned something from this video, and if you liked it, please consider hitting that like button, and thank you very much and see you next time.